11:39 through 44 is very close to the Matthew quotes from before, like in Matthew 23, where I skipped around, only this one's a little shorter. Jesus criticizes the religious leaders. I skipped over the part because he's just at some Pharisee's house for a meal, and then he said, but 39 starts with, "Then the Lord said to him, 'You Pharisees are so careful to clean the outside of the cup and the dish, but inside you are still filthy, full of greed and wickedness. Fools! Didn't God make the inside as well as the outside? So give to the needy what you greedily possess, and you will be clean all over. But how terrible it will be for you, Pharisees, for you are careful to tithe even the tiniest part of your income, but you completely forget about justice and the love of God. You should tithe, yes, but you should not leave undone the more important things. How terrible it will be for you, Pharisees, for you love the seats of honor in the synagogues and the respectful greetings from everyone as you walk through the markets. Yes, how terrible it will be for you are like hidden graves in a field. People walk over them without knowing the corruption they are stepping on.'" So basically, it's part of it is, give to the needy what you greedily possess, and you will be clean all over. That's telling you. If you're not giving to the needy, Jesus ain't too happy about that. Now, Luke 12:13 through 21. The story of the rich fool. Then someone called out from the crowd, "Teacher, please tell my brother to divide our father's estate with me." Jesus replied, "Friend, who made me a judge over you to decide such things as that?" Then he said, "Beware, don't be greedy for what you don't have. Real life is not measured by how much we own." And he gave an illustration. A rich man had a fertile farm that produced fine crops. In fact, his barns were full to overflowing. So he said, I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I will have enough room to store everything. And I'll sit back and say to myself, 'My friend, you have enough stored away for years to come. Now take it easy. Eat, drink, and be merry.' But God said to him, 'You fool, you will die this very night. Then who will get it all?' Yes, a person is a fool to store up earthly wealth, but not have a rich relationship with God. So there you go. So if you're like storing up everything for yourself, it's another indicator of greed, and you should really, and Jesus says you should be really following goodness and doing what's right. Okay, now I have 12 through 14. It's going to be a couple short verses. Then he turned to his host. "When you put on a luncheon or dinner," he said, "don't invite your friends, brothers, relatives, and rich neighbors, for they will repay you by inviting you back. Instead, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. Then at the resurrection of the godly, God will reward you for inviting those who could not repay you." In other words, he's telling them to help feed people who actually need it instead of getting repaid in earthly ways. I believe I'm still in Luke with the next one. The rich man and Lazarus parable, 19 through 31. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to read the whole thing then. Jesus said, There was a certain rich man who was splendidly clothed and who lived each day in luxury. At his door lay a diseased beggar named Lazarus. As Lazarus lay there longing for scraps from the rich man's table, the dogs would come and lick his open sores. Finally the beggar died and was carried by the angels to be with Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried, and his soul went to the place of the dead. There in torment he saw Lazarus in the far distance with Abraham. The rich man shouted, "Father Abraham, have some pity. Send Lazarus over here to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in anguish in these flames." But Abraham said to him, "Son, remember that during your lifetime you had everything you wanted, and Lazarus had nothing. So now he is here being comforted, and you are in anguish. And besides, there is a great chasm separating us. Anyone who wanted to cross over to you from here is stopped at its edge, and no one there can cross over to us." Then the rich man said, "Please, Father Abraham, send him to my father's home, for I have 5 brothers, and I want him to warn them about this place of torment so they won't have to come here when they die." But Abraham said, "Moses and the prophets have warned them. Your brothers can read their writings any time they want to." The rich man replied, "No, Father Abraham, but if someone is sent to them from the dead, they will all turn from their sins." But Abraham said, if they won't listen to Moses and the prophets, they won't listen even if someone rises from the dead. Now there's another parable. It says you're supposed to take care of the poor. Now, Lazarus is a beggar, so does he work other than beg for things? It does not say, but you can't use that as an excuse that he's not working so he don't deserve anything either, according to this. Okay, and then there is a last, final one. Luke 20, verses 45 through 47. Then, with the crowds listening, he turned to his disciples and said, "Beware of these teachers of religious law, for they love to parade in flowing robes and to have everyone bow down to them as they walk in the marketplaces, and how they love the seats of honor in the synagogues and at banquets. But they shamelessly cheat widows out of their property, and then, to cover up the kind of people they really are, make long prayers in public. Because of this, their punishment will be greater." So they're cheating the widows. That's not good. Widows were supposed to be taken care of back then because they had nothing. Okay. So now there's one quote from John 9:1 through 7. This is in opposition to the poor deserve their fate because they made themselves that way or something, or they had their own sins. So, gotta find that. Okay, Jesus heals a man born blind. Now this can apply to somebody born poor, probably. I mean, well, it's a thing of laying blame, and, inappropriate blame should be taught against. So 9:1 through 7. As Jesus was walking along, he saw a man who had been blind from birth. "Teacher," his disciples asked him, "why was this man born blind? Was it a result of his own sins or those of his parents?" "It was not because of his sins or his parents' sins," Jesus answered. "He was born blind so that the power of God could be seen in him. All of us must quickly carry out the task assigned to us by the one who sent me, because there is little time left before the night falls and all work comes to an end. But while I am still here in the world, I am the light of the world." Then he spit on the ground and made mud with the saliva and smoothed the mud over the blind man's eyes. He told him, "Go and wash in the pool of Siloam." Siloam means sent. So the man went and washed and came back seeing. See, sometimes God provides these people, the poor, sick, needy, all those people, so that you can create a miracle for them. That's what this teaching is trying to tell you. You're supposed to help these people. You're not supposed to deny them stuff because you feel more righteous than them. And if you think, although Jesus is the most important teacher of this, right from his mouth, because he should be the authority on this, I'm going to show you other examples which shouldn't carry as much weight as Jesus, because he is the most important teacher of all this. But since people like to take things out of context, I will go to other passages here.